When you are depressed, getting out of bed feels like an impossible task. The idea of facing the world can be overwhelming, and the desire to isolate yourself becomes stronger. But overcoming depression requires action. It demands that you engage with life again, even when every fiber of your being resists. Isolation intensifies sadness. The worst thing you can do when you're feeling down is to withdraw from the world. Instead, seek out a distraction that can shift your energy. Reclaim your focus. I began noticing symptoms of mild depression in my early 20s. For years I struggled with worry, anxiety, and hopelessness. Minor setbacks would send me spiraling into self-criticism and deep discouragement. I doubted my ability to navigate difficult situations and felt like I was failing at life. Depression has a way of transforming a typically happy and outgoing person into someone who is sad, withdrawn, and frustrated with life. Despite my background and expertise, I wasn't immune to my own dark moments, moments that were so deeply personal that even my closest family and friends knew nothing about them. I didn't just experience sadness every now and then. I went through a persistent feeling of hopelessness. I lost interest in things that once brought me joy. There were days when I believed my family and friends would be better off without me. I felt like a failure. I felt insufficient. I felt like I couldn't take life anymore. I know what it feels like to not want to get out of bed. I know the pain of experiencing deep and distressing hurt that seems impossible to push through. I pretended to be happy for so long that no one would have believed me if I told them I was struggling with depression. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm glad I didn't forfeit all that I've been able to experience and accomplish. So, while you might feel discouraged right now, you don't have to be, because brighter days are coming. During my struggle, I often felt alone, unaware that depression is more common than I realized. 1 out of 10 people will experience depression during their lifetime, so do me a favor, check on the people close to you. Often the people who appear happy and strong are rarely asked how they're doing because everyone assumes their lives are perfect. But sometimes the person who smiles every time you see them is privately battling depression. The first step in overcoming depression is acknowledging that something must change. You cannot fix what you do not face. Suppression, denial, and pretending that everything is okay will not help you feel better. Yes, you can fool everyone else, but you can't fool yourself. You can't fool the person in the mirror, the one you look at every single day. When you appear to have it all together, it's not easy to let your guard down and say, "Hey, I'm struggling." I remember wondering how I could lift everyone else up, but when it came to my own situation, I felt hopeless. But my situation began to improve only when I had the courage to confront the fact that I was not as happy as I appeared to be. I was suppressing the wounds of rejection, suppressing childhood trauma, and harboring anger. Let me tell you this, uprooting anger and bitterness is not easy. But at the end of the day, holding on to it impacts your physical, emotional, and mental health. So today, I say let it go. Let go of the anger you've been harboring because it's stealing your joy. Set yourself free from the emotional turmoil that has been disrupting your peace. After finally overcoming depression, I promised myself I would put in the work necessary to experience authentic happiness. Not happiness based on circumstances, but happiness based on a personal decision. I'm now mindful of when I feel overwhelmed, when I need to take a mental break, or when I need to reach out to my support system. I challenge you to refuse to succumb to the negative thoughts that attempt to convince you that your life will never get better. Remind yourself that you deserve to be happy and that your life will get better. When you're depressed, the last thing you want to do is engage with the world, but that's exactly what you need to do. Find a distraction that will shift your energy. Listen to uplifting music, watch an inspirational video, go for a walk, or call someone who makes you laugh. The key to feeling better is doing the exact opposite of what you feel like doing. You've got to get up. You've got to connect with others, especially when you don't feel like it. Avoid sinking into despair because it diminishes your productivity and robs you of the joy of living. In most instances, anxiety stems from a past experience or an anticipation of a negative one. When anxiety starts to creep in, shift your focus. Instead of thinking, "This is not fair," or "Why am I dealing with this?" Say, "I may not be feeling my best right now, but I will not allow worry or fear to sabotage the gift of this moment." Though it may feel natural to let your mind wander into worry and despair, doing so reinforces negative thinking. Your thoughts are impressions, they are not your identity. So be mindful of your thought patterns and interrupt them before they get out of control. Overcoming depression and committing to happiness takes work, but it is not impossible. Yes, mistakes happen, but making a mistake does not mean that you are a failure. Overcoming depression is not an overnight process, it takes work. For some, happiness comes easily, but for most of us, happiness requires intention. Are you willing to fight for your happiness? I hope that joy and peace will track you down and give you the endurance you need to keep pushing. You may not be where you want to be right now, but you are still here. You are still standing, and you still have an opportunity to create a new path.